Hey, how's it going, everybody? Scott Spreitzer here. He's Doug Upstone. We are DocSports.com. It is marquee matchup time for this week's college football. Week 10, college football, week 9, NFL already. By the way, I've got this going constantly. Haven't put it down. Not to give free advertisements to it, but, we've only got 150 college basketball games coming up this Tuesday. But I digress. Back to college football. A&M and Auburn, Doug Upstone. A&M at home, laying 4.5, total 49.5. Had Auburn last week. We talked about the difference for Bo Nix, basically between his play on the road and his play at home. There is a dichotomy there, a big one, normally. Last week he played well at home. We thought he would. He got the win. This week he's in that tough 12th man environment, College Station. He's going to have to play better than he normally has done on the road, Doug. Your initial thoughts on Auburn and A&M. And again, the point spread, I tell people this all the time. If you like A&M, there are plenty of 4s. If you like Auburn, there are plenty of 4.5. So shop around.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is in a week with pretty thin on high-profile games, this one comes as close to making it, hence the name marquee matchup for this one. And the thing that, and looking at this one, the stakes are actually pretty high too. Both teams at worst are playing for a Sugar Bowl bid, or at least a Super Six, depending on who wins and how everything breaks out. So that's important. And if Alabama wins out the rest of the month before the Iron Bowl, well, then they're playing for the SEC West Championship, okay, against Alabama. So there's a lot going on here. In terms of the game itself, the Bo Nix, it's an interesting thing. And I gave this some thought, once we decided, to do this game. And, Bo Nix has always been inconsistent. That's been basically that's his trademark, or his brand, if you will. And the one thing, though, he had one kind of off game. I forget who it was against earlier where he got pulled. But since then, he's been sharp. And I think it has something to do, with Brian Harsin's offense, his new coach, where the offense is a little more simplified. He doesn't have to make as many decisions. He basically runs the plays. If he checks to something, if he sees something, he's good. And I think that's really helped his confidence. And he's been a far more accurate passer this year. And what he's doing is kind of like, the first, half season that he played as a freshman, where he just played. And that seems to be what he kind of back to now, and then Auburn's offense is 27th now in the country. It's nicely balanced, so they're averaging over 450 yards. The defense to me is a little bit like the old, what was it, McDonald's McDLT, I think it was, hot on one side and cold on the other. So I look at that defense, they'll stop anybody 3 straight 3-and-outs, and then the next drive, they'll give up an 80-yard drive on 3 plays. So you just never know with that defense. Now, offensively for Texas A&M, they're getting some better quarterback play. But let's face it, Scott, you know this and I know this. They're a run-based offense. Okay, that's what they're going to do. That's going to be their calling card. If they get a great performance from Kalazda, yes, him too. If he throws it well. Then they can do better things like they did against Alabama. But generally speaking, I don't think that seemed like more of an outlier performance. So I think it's really an interesting matchup. What are your thoughts on this game, Scott?
Well, I look at what Nix has done, and I listen to what you're saying, and I think he is improving. But then I look at the road games at Penn State and LSU, where they split. They went 1-1. They lost to Penn State. They beat LSU 54% in those 2 road games. And so I'm not sure. At least they won one of those games, right? They beat LSU, as I mentioned. But before that win at LSU, his last 5 road games against Power 5 teams, they went 1-4 with Nix at the helm. He was a 51% passer in those 5 games. He did not top 200 yards passing in any of those 5. And I'm having a rough time, Doug, getting past that. You're absolutely right. I think it's a more cohesive, better – I guess they're buying into his what the new coach is doing. The new staff is doing a little bit better than what they were doing at the end of Malzahn's time in Auburn. But again, I'm not sure I'm going to trust him on the road talking about Nix. A&M's got to continue to run the football, as you mentioned. They got 2 running backs who have combined for nearly 1,400 yards on about 6.5 yards per carry between the two of them. One of them's running for 7 yards per carry. The other one's running for a little over 6 yards per carry, and they're both getting plenty of action. They're getting the ball a lot. So it comes down to me on two things. Can Nix be accurate on the road against a good football team in a tough environment? Can Auburn slow down this A&M running game? And again, I think what Auburn needs to do is put the onus of the offense on Calzada, as you mentioned, and make him go over the top, make him throw the football. If they can make him throw the football, they can win this football game. Your final thoughts on this, Doug, and basically, what you're looking at as far as the weekend card for Doug Upstone Sports.
Yeah, in this one, and granted, all these players have not participated in what's gone on, but the last 4 times that Auburn has been to College Station, they're 4-0 straight up. Okay. Now, again, that doesn't have necessarily anything to do with all the players that are there, but this series, okay, just in general, the visitor is 7-2 straight up and 7-1-1 against the number. In college football, this isn't the NFL. In college football, some of these things, not every time, but often mean something. And this has been, when a visitor wins that often, obviously then there's just a confidence level that comes with doing it. So I'm looking at this. I still have enough faith in Nix. I've seen him, the last 3 weeks. I like how he's playing. I completely, Scott, agree with what you say about his road record and how he's played. I cannot discount that. But I just think he's playing better, more relaxed football here, and being able to take the points, having the better quarterback coming into this game. I just think that they got a little something going on here, and I'm going to take the points with Auburn in this one.
It's funny because you mentioned like the angles, the trends, and things of that nature. And when I look at where the teams or programs that have had coaching turnovers in the middle, at the end, or whatever of those angles, I throw them out. But there's something that you said that I think is important. There are a lot of players on this Auburn team that have been there for at least one of those road games. And so it does give the players that are returning who have been there for 3 years or whatever some confidence and the thought of, hey, we've been here before. We've won here before. It's not that big of a deal. We know we can win in front of the 12th man. When you start talking about coaches and we go back like you'll see some things where it'll say, a team is Team A is 10-1 in their last 11 visits to their rival. Well, guess what? 11 road trips means 22 years most of the time because you're playing every other year at home and away. And over those 22 years, those kids that started that angle, guess what? They're like 45 years old now. So, but again, when it comes to what you just mentioned, I think it does give a lot of the guys who've been around for a couple of years confidence in knowing that their program, their team, has done well here at this spot before. They don't get overwhelmed by the situation. Having said all of that, I don't trust Bo Nix yet on the road after watching what he did against Penn State and LSU. However, as I mentioned, they did get the win at LSU. 51% Power 5 road games, 54% against Penn State and LSU again on the road. I can't get past that. I'm going to say that you lay the 4 if you're on my side of things. You grab the 4.5 if you're on Doug's side of the things. And I think A&M ends up winning the football game by 7. It's not going to be a premium play for me. It is a free pick. It won't be part of my card this week. We did have Auburn last week. They got us the nice win over Ole Miss. I got to tell you what they've done. I'm sitting there, the last seemed like 10 minutes of that football game. I'm not talking real time, but game time. So, 30 minutes of real time. Every time I flip on the game, Ole Miss is driving inside the Auburn 30. And I'm going, oh, no, come on. And they came up empty every time. They were always inside the Auburn 30. And they came up empty. So combination of Ole Miss not finishing drives off and got to give credit where it's due. The Auburn defense, little bend but don't break in that game against the Rebels, got us the win. So, all right, so a little lean here for A&M minus the points. Doug taking the points in this one. Doug, real quick, again, I'm aiming, by the way, for my 6th straight 7-star football win. That goes back to late September. And last week we had a nice 7-star winner. It was great. It was bright and early. It was 12 noon Eastern, which means 9 a.m. our time. So, I'm basically wiping the old Sandman out of my eyes at halftime of the game. And I'm thinking, I got a good shot to win this with Rutgers. And we did. Always love it when that happens. The game's over early. You don't got to sweat the rest of the card. But we're aiming for a 6th straight 7-star win. It is a conference game of the year in college football, part of a multiple game package. What you got going this week? Oh, by the way, before I throw it to you, I want to tell the folks to go check out all of our packages for college basketball too, because again, it starts this coming Tuesday, and there are over, I quit counting at 100 as far as the amount of games that are being played on Tuesday. There's a bunch more on Wednesday and so on. So jump on early if you wish. Doug, what you got going this weekend?
Yeah, besides college basketball, I like you have started, doing some research and doing more research, I should say, and finding out some different things, what to look for, and have, let's just say, my own way of doing it, like everybody does. But as far as football, right now, the last 2 months, exactly 40 and 29 altogether, college and pro. So that's good. Within that context, on weekly best bets, 13 and 5. So that's 72.2%. So we just keep trucking along, Scott. And so things are going well. Hopefully to continue to keep it going well. And I have to say, this week, last week I was a little bit so-so on the card. This week, I absolutely love the card. Right now, I'm looking at 7 plays, probably take it down to 6, and for sure, a 7-star coming up in college football on that one. Because as we talked just before we started this, the NFL with all the personnel that's moving and the lines jumping like crazy, not sure what's all going to happen this week trying to figure out the NFL card. So college football is going to be where it's at, I think, this weekend for real opportunity. And that's where I'm parking my ride on that. And it sounds like you're going to be doing some good things there as well.
Going to have a big college football card again, like you. Wanted to mention real quickly also for folks who are not yet a member at DocSports.com, you see that banner across the top of your screen, free $60 account. If you go down beneath this video, you'll see a link. You click on the link. And again, if you're not yet a member, you can set yourself up for a free $60 account, which allows you to use $60 on any of our daily packages, whether it be Doug Upstone, whether it be mine or anybody else over at DocSports.com. Since me and Doug are the prettiest, you probably want to stick with us. Take my word for it. You don't need to go check out anybody else's pictures. I'm just kidding. Anyway, free $60 account. Again, if you're not yet a member, sign up, check it out if you wish. And again, college football heavy cards from both me and Doug this week. Wanted to mention real quickly to everybody, Aaron Rodgers being out. That KC line is up to 7.5. He might be out for a couple of weeks. There might be a suspension coming down the road. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but that was the latest news. Derrick Henry's out, big line move there, Tennessee and the Rams. And boy, it's just been one thing after another. I will say real quickly as we wrap this up, OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., I was doing a video with the sportsbook director here in town on Wednesday morning, and it came out that he's basically no longer a member of the Cleveland Browns. I said, how much does it matter to that football team and that point spread? And I knew the answer, but he goes, squat, absolutely nothing. So there you go. All right, guys, Doug Upstone, have a great weekend, and let's put him in the win column, everybody. We are DocSports.com.